think the font is very modern. I quite like the crispness of it. It feels very contemporary, and it obviously has an extended family, which is what makes it very usable for you throughout the documentary. Well, I think it's great. I think it's very ambitious. I quite like the idea that you are being very dramatic against what is quite a, or potentially quite a dry subject. So you're treating it in a way that maybe we haven't seen before, which is feels pretty authentic, pretty different. I think it's quite a nice collision. I think there's ways that you can deliver it, given that you've got a lot of information and you've obviously got a lot of opinion and interviews, that you could start to play with the mix of how you deliver both in a way that adds that sense of pace or importance. So I quite like it. I quite like the crossover. Well, I think you can make use of cinema format, so you can use a very sort of wide, single focus format, with a wide screen. I think there's probably something in how you can grade or finish the final film, so you can add a little bit of depth of texture or colour to it, and have that consistency running from all the content. I think there's a way that you can change your pace of edit, so you can bring all of the elements together and help the style of how you're showing it tell as much of the story as the narrative or the written elements that you've got going in. So I think it's quite nice. It feels like it could be quite fresh. You could even think about multi-screen format, so you could cut a number of pieces of content across the same viewpoint. Well, I quite like the flip, the drama. If you're aiming for drama, and you know you're going between content that as a viewer you have to read, and then content where you listen to somebody telling you it, I think if you're gonna get this sense of drama, you're gonna need to flip between long and close, because I think if I was seeing someone being interviewed, I don't think I'd want to know this about the setting given the subject. I'd want to be really close to them, and almost feel like it's a very personal conversation. And then maybe for the contextual shots that you have, or the shots where you're having a narrative over a voiceover, then maybe your longer shot or your single point perspective shot or something like that. So you get that lovely mix
so it's
out.
not too intense.
Yeah, so it's not just all straight up, because I think that'd feel like you were being confronted.
Yeah.
Whereas I think you need some of the facts that you're uncovering, you need that sense of intimacy. Well, I think you're going to need a mix of, given the subject, you're going to need a mix of quite urban crowd scenes. Obviously you've got interviews and close-ups of that. I imagine you've got some sort of reference. It'd be nice to get abstract references. So if you're talking about the proliferation of consumption of fast food and the fact that it's probably destined to be something that we're going to regret, then you might tinge that with a sense of doom.
Yeah.
Likewise, you might tinge the idea of eating healthy and being happy because of it with a sense of enlightenment, or just maybe just something that feels a little bit more natural.
Yeah.
So I think that the types of shot you're after is that play between good and evil, I guess.
Yeah, we need to attach these connotations to the images and shots.
Yeah, you need to bring that story underneath, so it just bubbles underneath really neatly.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think there might be something very nice in trying to play the music to suit, in the same way we just talked about, to suit the sort of mood of the subject, that you might have something that had a continual beat to it, but maybe that quickened and slowed, depending on how you wanted to work it. Something that was linked to a heartbeat would be quite nice.
Yeah.
It's not
something
difficult
meaningful.
to find. Yeah, something that just, I'm a big fan of anything that has true purpose or meaning throughout everything that you do. I think people understand it, they get it completely. You can only do it if you're independent.
Yeah.
If somebody was paying for it, there'd be another agenda.
Yeah.
And if you were through a traditional, I guess a traditional production house that had an affiliation, particularly if it's a commercial one, then you're likely to have to pander to whatever the advertising break is in between. So you're going to be partly compromised. So it can only work independently.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Good.